Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Train Simulator Classic, aka Railroads. Today we're going to be taking a look at another free roam, or a freeware route. This is a update to a freeware route that I've already looked at, but I think it's a pretty neat update. Really added to the little map that was given to us to begin with. But this is the Queen Mary Island route version 2. So if you guys don't remember, I looked at version 1 a little bit ago, and it's effectively just a small switching route that is serviced by a barge. It's got a sizable lumber industry with a couple other little industries that you can swap around. 40s, 50s freight cars, I think is what it's meant for. I'm using more modern freight just for giggles and squiggles, because why not? Can get away with it for the most part. There are some places you might struggle to use newer freight, but I digress. It is, again, a freeware fictional route. You do whatever you want with it. But the route itself is pretty nice in that setup, but this version is really neat. I like it. I love it. I think it's a really cool take. And it adds a lot. So it adds essentially a whole short line railroad. It expands the island a lot in both directions from that little starting point, and adds a couple little towns, lots of industries. It makes it look like kind of a modern day railroad that hasn't particularly aged, just kind of overgrown. And as such, we're going to take a look at it. Now, I will go ahead and give forewarning. Unfortunately, there's still a ton of milk bottles all over the route, and there's a lot of things that are missing and don't show up for me. I do not know what those assets are. I have all the assets that are in the requirement list, and yet we still have a ton of milk bottles everywhere. So clearly something has not been written down or included in the asset file or in the third-party asset list. So unfortunately, lots of milk bottles all around the route, and lots of missing roads. Lots of missing roads, which is a problem that the little island had to begin with. So we won't be seeing something necessarily new problem-wise. It's got pretty much the same problem as the first route that I did take a video of. Just missing roads and lots of milk bottles. But if one were to sit down, spend a couple hours, get rid of all the milk bottles, and then place in some roads from a newer asset or a newer route, really spruce this route up. I like the track layout. That is partially why I am videoing this route. I think the track layout and the whole idea is really cool, and it makes for a fun little short line route that somebody like me can actually sit and play in one sitting, rather than these massive 180-mile routes that people like me can't train from point A to point B on a normal day. So here's one end of the route that was added on, kind of a little harbor town. Obviously, a lot of your industry is going to be geared towards fishing in an island railroad, but This is one of the route. This is one of the little towns, and it's got a lot of like abandoned industry and track infrastructure and whatnot that I think is pretty darn cool. I like this little industry right here. It's like it was here back when the route was built. Like it's like maybe a power industry or a fish plant or something. The track work is still there, the building's still there, but it's no longer used. It's dilapidated. Maybe that's what a lot of milk botters are supposed to be, judging by the placement. I mean, they're supposed to be crossing signs. Lots of things like that along this route that are really, really cool, I think. It really adds to the character and sets this route apart from many of the others that are available. This, maybe the track went off over here. Back in the day, maybe it went back into here to this little town and had a train station. Well, actually, there's a train station, a little freight station right here. Be good to set up like a little display or something on this track. Should have done that, matter of fact. That would have made a good picture, but anyway. So let's go along the route. Now, I will say, I don't know why. It might be the milk bottles. It might not be. It might be something else. This route murders my frame rates. Like, I love the idea of this route, especially with like the B&O dockside switcher from Machine Rail. It fits in really well on this route, but trying to run that locomotive with nothing else on this route, just that locomotive and 3 passenger cars, my frame rates were sitting at tops maybe 30, which for those of you that play on console, that's normal. I know, I had to make a joke like that. I'm sorry. TSC is not available on console. I know, I get it. I thought it was funny for a second. But anyway, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that I typically can stay upwards of the 60 to 70 frames. This route, it plummets, especially with a steam locomotive. My frame rate performance plummets. Like here we are, not even moving with a train, and I'm looking at 23-ish. Yeah, murders performance. I don't know what it is. Somebody could look into that maybe. That'd be awesome. Figure out what is absolutely eating performance on this. Because it's not like there's heavy usage of 3D foliage and whatnot. I looked at I did a video on a Zaval route earlier, and there's a lot denser scenery trackside. And it still didn't murder my frame rates like this route does. I mean, all your distant trees are 2D trees and such. There's still a lot of detail. I imagine if all these milk bottles were gone, this route would be is absolutely packed, judging by the placement of the milk bottles. But just as it sits, my frame rates are awful. Here's a prime example of this industry. Looks like it's still serviced, still used off over here. But over here we got what looks like abandoned or maybe really lightly used industry. So that's pretty darn cool. I like it. I think it's really, really neat. There's a handful of little miniature yards along the route like this. And back there where our start will be, where you got kind of a set out track or storage track, run around. It is a single track route along the entirety of it though, so if you plan on running copious amounts of both way trains and whatnot, you have to plan out your scenarios accordingly for these passing sidings and whatnot. It's pretty cool, I think. Now, I don't know why, every time I try to make a scenario, a free roam scenario, I get error messages right off the bat for assets that I own, saying that the asset won't load, which I don't understand why. Obviously, you can F2 and override that error message, which is what I had to do for this, but stuff like the GP40 included in the Portland Terminal route, which I believe is, oh, what is it? Maine Maritime freeware on Railworks America. I get an error loading message for that, but I know it loads. I know it works just fine. I use it in the Portland terminal route. So I don't understand why certain odd things like that will throw an error message, but they will. So that is a fair warning, but again, you can F2 out of that error warning and run the route just fine. So I am not particularly fond of 2D trees trackside, but I'll give the credit where it is due. This is not a payware route. This is a freeware route available on Railworks America, so I don't expect new assets. But man, the 2D trees is just awful looking today. Fun little roundabout area right here. The track splits off. Goes back to here. We got the leftovers of an industry of some sort. Pretty neat, pretty cool. And it continues back here where there's the island airport. And the railroad does service it, according to the lore. Oh, goodness. Kind of a fun old mine-looking industry back here. Another one of those really old assets from well over a decade ago. But, you know, there's the option to drop off tank cars over here for aircraft fuel, aviation fuel. Half gas. And we go back over here. What looks like locomotive servicing for like a G44 tonner or something. And a lumber industry. That looks to still be active. But, you know, has some dilapidated track and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. I like it. Some fun stuff like this old truck here. It's got a lot of fun little scenes around here. I imagine where the milk bottles are, there's a lot of decent scenes and such made into this route. I mean, there's a lot of detail put into it, a lot of work. I just kind of wish that we knew what those assets were so that we could, you know, resolve that problem. Let's go back. Come on, catch up. Takes my computer a second to load all these assets and whatnot. We got our first little train station right here. There is passenger service along the route as is set up now. With room enough for 1 or 2 passenger cars. I mean, it obviously wouldn't be real big and busy. Using the B&O switcher, you can fit, I think, like 3 cars in this siding. Using the recommended diesels, like the Alco S2s or the old Diesel Workshop G12s and such, you really only fit about 2 cars and still be able to run around your train or whatnot. But it is a fun addition. Have kind of like a little heritage railway or some sorts going along the route, as well as your normal freight operations. Leaves a lot of opportunity. It's a very scenic route. It's done up very nicely. With a lack of road in some places kind of kills me though. I think right here. Clearly supposed to be a relatively major road right there. It's not. You know, our fire hydrant out here in the middle of nowhere. And then we get up to where the original map starts and ends. So this is where the original map is, the beginning portion of the Queen Mary Island Railroad. Most of you will recognize if you watched my video or already have this route. Got a big lumber industry right here. Old siding right there. All sorts of switching opportunities, freight opportunities and such built into here. That's quite entertaining. And of course, your barge over here for bringing stuff in, taking it out. Again, very nicely detailed, very heavily detailed. But there's still milk bottles. Actually, there's not as, now that I look at it, there's not near as many milk bottles here in particular as there were when I first did this video. Matter of fact, I think a lot of this was empty. A lot of those milk bottles might have just been these log piles. Well, we continue on over to here. Fun little lumber industry over here. Maybe scrap, iron, unknown. Freight house. And passenger station. And no bottles. Pretty cool looking, like big resort. Another industry, kind of a dockside industry of sorts. Looks like the railroad might have gone off over here at one point, way back in the day. Maybe the route developer's planning on expanding. I mean, it continues way off into here, like there's scenery and whatnot added. Or this might be a road that was supposed to be here. This definitely looks like a rail bridge, though. Developer might expand off of there later in life. Maybe not. Stop sign might. Stop sign kind of makes it look like that goes over there. So that might be a road. I don't know. It's kind of cool, though. Another X in the grass. Lots of opportunity for road switching. Kind of a gravel pit over here. Gravel loading. I don't think most of these industries actually function. So unfortunately there's no loading, unloading, but plenty to keep one entertained. Another station. Fun little lumber yard industry. Passing siding here. Old industry no longer served. Looks like a scrap industry. Over here we got set outs for a handful of different industries. Old roundhouse. It is kind of entertaining. You can just see the track through the woods here in the ground. That's kind of a neat effect. But lots of opportunity for switching, road switching and such. Point A to point B operations. Little flag stop right here. A fairly large industry area. More logging, lumber products. And then the major city, town area. Lots of little tracks like this that go off in the old businesses and such. Old locomotive servicing infrastructure. Sand tower. Another railroad ferry, another car ferry. A naval destroyer. Another resort looking place. It'd be kind of fun if we had a cruise ship. Give that Alaska. What is it, Skagway, I believe? Cruise ships come in, you can hop off a cruise ship, and the White Pass and Yukon route literally stops right next to the cruise ship. That'd be kind of entertaining. But yeah, there it is, end to end, the updated Queen Mary Island Railroad. We'll go back and I'll attempt to run a little bit of it, but as you guys can see, my computer struggles bad. And I don't know why. I've definitely played far more scenery dense routes. But this one really puts a struggle. But it is a nice route. I love the track layout. Like I said, I love the track setup. It makes for a very fun little island route. Very easy to play. If the scenery problems got resolved, like all the milk bottles and whatnot, everything got filled in, it would make for one heck of a nice freeway route. Especially for using stuff like this right here. Western Maryland RS3 by Diesel Workshop. Good stuff. Just some jointed rail stock. I do kind of wish they had made the QQ play the second horn. Q has been that secondary button for a long time. Now, obviously, it being an island railroad, there's always older infrastructure. Speed limits are going to be brutal. You're not flying. Speed limit signs might be part of the milk bottle missing ideas. So do bear in mind, you gotta kind of judge the speed myself, I typically run 10-ish in a lot of these little yards and whatnot. And I think it's like 30 on the main track area. There we go. As long as you pay attention to your speed, this route runs pretty well. I love that my class lights are on. Difference between GTV sounds and something like the car just screams around the corner. That's all it does, nothing else. Nothing to do. Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly, most of the route is about 25 miles an hour. I think there's some portions where it's 30. Some might find that slow. It doesn't hurt me too much on this particular route. Stuff like CSX Hanover can be a bore given the whole route is 25 miles an hour. That's miles, not miles. This route, I think, that's it. Maybe 50 minutes? It's really not long. And there's your whole route right there. It's not massive by any means. This is the original portion right here. But yeah, it does not take very long to go into it. Let's see that. What's that? I'm gonna slam into that corner. That would be unfortunate. believe the route is for the most part flat, which isn't wild and upsetting. I mean, it is an island route, already kind of at sea level, so it can really be hilly. It would be nice if there was kind of some gentle gradients here and there, though. That's not wildly upsetting. I do still think overall the movie is fucking great. It's 20 frames right now. It murders your frame rates. You know, pretty decent computer for that. As you can see, overall the route runs really quite nice. You know, nothing too terribly wonky or janky with the track or anything of the such. But yeah, there's very high version 2. You can download either or depending on which one you want. The version 2 will override version 1, however. It is not named something different to give you 2 separate downloads. It will overwrite the original version. So if you were only wanting to have the small switching area of the original route, pretty much can't download this. But if you like the whole route, definitely go check it out. It is anywhere available on Railworks of America. Check to be sure you have all the required assets. Again, and if you get lucky and don't have near the amount of milk box size you have to do not know. And, yeah, I highly recommend checking it out. I think it's wonderful. It's a lot of fun. It's done up so nicely. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, the link in the description on where you can find it. And I will see you guys next time.